What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, March 15th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 21:06 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Europe. So, French media is reporting that 4 French military regiments have been moved to Romania, which could be pre-positioning for deployment into Ukraine. We know that the strategic port city of Odessa is right next to Romania. Also, Belarus and/or Russia have moved tanks and armored vehicles to the border of Lithuania near the capital, Vilnius. They've moved tanks just 10 kilometers from the border of Lithuania in the Vilnius direction, the capital of Lithuania, and they're going to be doing territorial defense drills in that part of Belarus, just 40 kilometers from the border of Lithuania. Also, an air assault battalion of the Russian and or Belarusian military have been moved close to the border of Ukraine in Gomel, Belarus. And if you remember, Gomel is one of the areas where Russia staged a lot of troops before their initial invasion of Ukraine, and that's where they launched their operation against the capital of Ukraine. They came down from Gomel, and Russian partisans are vowing a massive attack starting tomorrow morning on Russian forces in the Russian cities of Kursk and Belgorod. And Putin accused Ukraine of carrying out attacks on civilian targets and has vowed to punish Ukraine. And this was in response to all of the recent partisan and drone attacks on Russia. And North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ordered his military to make preparations for war yesterday while overseeing some training exercises. So before I get into all those headlines, I want to just show you some unusual doomsday plane activity over the US today. So right now, we have a US presidential doomsday plane flying over northwestern Nevada, and we also have a nuclear war command and control plane near Seattle. And what's interesting is we've had a lot of these doomsday planes in the air today, but we actually had just 2 of them, but they were flying back and forth between multiple bases today. So here we have this one doomsday plane that took off from Edwards Air Force Base and is now heading north towards Washington State. And this same doomsday plane came down from Washington State earlier today. It came down from Spokane and it went to Edwards Air Force Base, and now looks like it's heading back up there. And then we had another doomsday plane fly towards DC and then from DC back to where it came from in the morning. So very interesting. Here we have the flight path of that one doomsday plane that came down to California from Spokane, and this is the one that is now heading up towards Spokane. So it went down to Edwards Air Force Base earlier this afternoon, and now it looks like it's going back up to Spokane. Here we have the other doomsday plane that was just in the air this evening, a few hours ago. It took off from the DC area and then it went towards Oklahoma, and it turned off its transponder somewhere over Arkansas, over the Ozarks. At the same time, we had a nuclear war command and control plane doing loops over Tinker Air Force Base, which is their home base. And so far today, I've counted 4 nuclear war command and control planes in the air, which is very elevated. Normally, during peacetime conditions, you usually see maybe 1 or 2 of these every second day. Like before the Ukraine war started, I would see maybe 1 of these every second day. And we're now at the point where 4 in one day is considered low because they've been flying 5, 6, 7, even 8 of these in the air every single day. Okay, so this is still elevated, but it's lower than what we've seen the past few days and the past few weeks. But a lot of doomsday planes in the air today going back and forth. And here we have a screenshot of that one Doomsday plane that went towards Oklahoma, and it went to DC earlier this morning from Texas somewhere, and it had its transponder off. So we don't know where exactly in Texas it took off from, but it went to DC from Texas, and now it looks like it went back towards Texas. So I don't know what's going on, guys, but our nuclear forces are still on high alert. This was earlier in the afternoon. You can see 3 nuclear war command and control planes in the air, also a nuke sniffer in the air as well when these 3 were in the air. And the nuke sniffers have been in the air over Wisconsin and Minnesota over the past 3 days. So I don't know if they're expecting some kind of a nuclear test in North Korea or in Russia, but these nuke sniffers can detect the presence of radiation in the atmosphere, and thus they would be able to detect any kind of nuclear weapons tests in faraway places. Okay, and also in addition to that, we've seen a missile detection plane over the last 3 days flying in the Sea of Japan, patrolling the North Korean coastline, which is usually where North Korea tests their missiles. So I don't know if the U.S. is anticipating some kind of North Korean missile test or even a nuclear weapons test, and that's why they're flying the Cobra Ball over the Sea of Japan, the missile detection plane, and the nuke sniffer over Wisconsin. I don't know. Just my theory, though. We had President Vladimir Putin's Doomsday planes fly towards the Urals earlier this morning. Here you can see 4 of Putin's special flight units going towards Yamantu Mountain, okay, which is a massive doomsday bunker near Chelyabinsk in the southern Urals. The Yamantu Mountain is literally like a city underneath a mountain, okay? This update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you got to use the link preparewithnYprepper.com. And the link is in the description below this video. But this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life. It includes over 2,000 calories per day, breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks, all contained within 6 rugged water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. So use the link preparewithnYprepper.com to get $200 off or 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply. The link is in the description below this video. Free shipping is included. They also have a general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running various discounts. And to get to their general store, you just got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo when you get to preparewithnYprepper.com at the top of the page, and you'll see their general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running discounts here. So use the link preparewithnYprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply, and the link is in the description below this video. It's underneath a 5,000-foot granite mountain that can withstand multiple direct nuclear blasts. So you can see here 4 of these special flight unit planes going towards the Urals. These are part of the 223rd Flight Unit, which are responsible for moving Putin around, okay? And then you can see here their transponders turned off once they got close to Chelyabinsk. So they obviously wanted to hide the fact that they were going towards Yamantu. And then here you can see multiple Russian Doomsday planes in the air shortly before those 4 VIP planes went to the Urals. You can see 6 of these assorted Doomsday planes and nuclear warplanes in the air going east, some of them going south. So the Russian president has been moved to his bunker in Yamantu Mountain. And obviously, this is because of the elections this weekend in Russia. He's obviously concerned that there could be chaos in Moscow There's already been some chaos in various parts of Russia at polling places. There's been Molotov cocktails thrown at polling places. There's even been IEDs that have been set off. And then, of course, you got the Russian partisans that are going to launch some kind of massive attack tomorrow morning. So Putin is definitely taking precautions here. Want to update you guys on the Russian sub or Russian subs off the coast of the U.S. First of all, I cannot confirm 100% that there is a Russian sub off the coast, but here you can see some unusual activity by the U.S. military. Here you can see a U.S. Marine Corps aerial refueler, and that's represented by the light blue lines here off the coast of Virginia Beach. And then also there was a T-38 Talon, which is actually a fighter jet that's used for training purposes. Okay, they train fighter pilots with these jets. It's not actually a fighter jet. It's basically just a jet that behaves like an F-16 or F-18s. But what's interesting is this T-38 was following along the entire coastline of North Carolina here and southern Virginia. You can see it was just flying right along the coast here, okay, almost as if it was scouting the coastline to see if there were any Russian subs here nearby, if there were any visual indicators, or maybe they have some sensors on that jet that they could use to detect subs. But this is very interesting to see a training jet flying a pattern like this along our coastline, and then this Marine Corps aerial refueler. And last night there was a P-8 Poseidon out here looping, and then there was also a reconnaissance drone looping in this area as well. And this evening there's more reconnaissance of South Korea by the U.S. Army. You can see 2 U.S. Army beach guardrails patrolling the border with North Korea here, and then an unknown plane here patrolling the border as well. So we got 3 reconnaissance planes here patrolling the DMZ. Very, very serious. And I want to just show you guys some pictures here of these Belarusian forces being moved close to Lithuania. So apparently there was a military cargo train of the Belarusian armed forces that redeployed to an area bordering Lithuania. Apparently on the night of the 14th of March, the Belarusian army deployed T-72Bs and BMP-2s about 10 kilometers from the border with Lithuania, and you can see Vilnius is extremely close here. Okay, so these T-72s were spotted at Ashmiany Station. You can actually see the picture here. This is an actual picture of those tanks being unloaded at the Ashmiany Station, literally 12 kilometers from the Lithuanian border, and you can see Vilnius is right there. All they have to do is jump on this highway, the E28 highway, and they can go straight into Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania. So that is very, very concerning. And according to the Telegram channel of the Western Operational Command of the Belarusian military, one of the mechanized units near Lithuania is being brought to readiness to perform assigned tasks as part of a combat readiness inspection. And apparently this is the 202nd Mechanized Battalion of the 6th Mechanized Brigade. And here we have pictures. Okay, so this is literally right near Lithuania. You can see all these BMPs here. Look at all these BMPs, guys. This is insane. You got probably, I don't know, hundreds of BMPs here, and you can see these troops. These look like Russian troops, guys. I could tell by the uniform. These are Russian BDUs, okay? And you can see all these BMPs here. This is absolutely insane. And I want to remind you guys that Belarus has announced that they're doing combat readiness checks across the entire country for their military, and they've put their military on combat alert, okay? So this is what Belarus and Russia did right before they invaded Ukraine. They said that they were doing an exercise, that they were going to be doing live fire training. And then sure enough, they invaded Ukraine. And that's what they might do here. They might invade Lithuania. Okay, look at all these BMPs, guys. You know why they have BMPs here? If you're not familiar with the terrain of Eastern Europe, I'm familiar with it because I've been there having Polish heritage. I've been to Poland several times, and that part of the world, there's a lot of swampy lowland areas in Belarus, in Eastern Poland, in parts of Lithuania and the Baltic countries. There's a lot of flat, boggy areas and a lot of rivers and small streams in that area. So you need amphibious vehicles that can cross those types of areas. And the BMP was specifically designed for that. Okay, the BMP can literally float in the water. Okay, so they were designed for crossing water. Okay, and that's exactly what you would need if you're in Belarus and you're trying to go into Poland or Lithuania. It looks like they're going to go right after Lithuania. It looks like they're going to go right for Vilnius, the capital. And Vilnius itself is not actually very heavily fortified by Lithuanian military personnel and assets or by NATO assets. It's mostly like a cultural city. Okay, it's a historical city. It used to be part of Poland for hundreds of years. Okay, it's like the equivalent of St. Petersburg or something in Russia. It's a historical, cultural city. So this is very concerning, guys. This is absolutely insane. Look at all these BMPs. Okay, this is literally just a few kilometers from the border of Lithuania. And we also have some breaking news that the Belarusian army will be holding a territorial defense drill 40 kilometers from the Lithuanian border starting April 2nd through the 26th. Okay, in the same area where all the T-72s and the BMPs were unloaded from the train. Okay, so this is very suspicious. Here we have some pictures that were released by the Belarusian government, and it shows a bunch of T-72s doing live fire training. Okay, so Belarus is preparing for war. Okay, it looks like they're going to go after Lithuania this spring. That's what it looks like to me, guys. It looks like they're going to go right into Lithuania. They're going to go after Vilnius. They're going to go into the Suwalki Gap. I don't know. Okay, but this is very, very suspicious. And Belarus and Russia have deployed several battalions worth of air assault forces to areas close to Ukraine in Gomel, which is where Russia launched their attack on the capital of Ukraine in the beginning of the war. And that's where they sent a lot of their airborne forces into Ukraine when they tried to land at the Hostomel airport. They came from Gomel, and the Russian military still has a major base in that area with lots of troops, okay? And this is the area I'm talking about, the Zhabrauka airfield, and you can see it's not that far from Kiev, okay? It's just, 50 miles north of the Ukrainian capital, okay? So Russia and or Belarus are moving air assault forces there. Apparently the 38th Air Assault Brigade was moved to this base, okay? And there's actually video footage from eyewitnesses on the ground to confirm this, okay? So the video shows a bunch of Pantsir surface-to-air missile systems, self-propelled launchers of the S-400, and various types of altitude detectors. So this is very, very concerning. Also, there was some equipment of one of the divisions of the 1500 anti-air missile regiment of the Russian armed forces, the 1530th anti-air missile regiment. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see what happens, but it looks like this coming spring we're going to see Belarus attack Lithuania and the Baltics, and Russia's going to come flooding in from Belarus. And then at the same time, they may make a second push towards Kyiv. And then at the same time, they may try to break through the front lines in the east in Donetsk. I shared with you guys a few days ago what the Ukrainian general Alexander Syrsky said about the front line situation in Donetsk. He said that it's very difficult and that he believes that Russia is planning a massive breakthrough there. and that they're going to try to penetrate deep behind the lines. That's what the Ukrainian general himself said. If you don't believe me, you can look it up. He said it's a very difficult situation there. Okay? So get prepared, guys. All hell's about to break loose. And France News 24 is now reporting that 4 French regiments have been moved to Romania, which could be pre-positioning for deployment to Odessa or Western Ukraine. And the French President Emmanuel Macron said today at the trilateral meeting with France, Germany, and Poland that France, Germany, and Poland together are determined to support Ukraine at every level and in the long term and will never let Russia win. Wow, very strong words there from Emmanuel Macron, who basically did a total 180 because at the beginning of the war, he was begging Putin not to invade Ukraine, and he was the one that was mentioning that, Ukraine should make some kind of a peace deal with Russia. And remember, he sat at that very long table with Putin and was trying to talk Putin out of it. And now he's saying we could send troops in. We're going to do anything necessary to make sure Russia doesn't win. And he even said that France has nuclear weapons and that we're not concerned about our security because we have nuclear weapons. And here we have a satellite picture showing a Russian nuclear warhead storage facility in Belarus, okay, in Osipovichi. Okay, you can see here on this picture some bunkers made to store nuclear weapons, okay, nuclear warheads. And what kind of warheads are they? They're short-range warheads. They're warheads for short-range missiles like the Iskander in the event of a war with Europe, with NATO, or if Russia wanted to use nuclear weapons on Ukraine, they would have a supply of warheads right there in the theater so they can reload the Iskander missiles with warheads and then launch them towards either Poland or Ukraine or the Baltic countries, okay? And this is coming after multiple Western sources have confirmed that Russia has moved tactical nuclear weapons into Belarus, and this is separate from the nuclear weapons that they gave to Belarus. So Russia has their own nuclear weapons that they're going to be operating in Belarus, and then they also gave nuclear weapons to Belarus that Belarus is going to operate, that they trained the Belarusians to use, okay? So this is not good, guys. This is a very, very bad situation, continuously escalating. Here we have a tweet from Emmanuel Macron, the French president, and he said, to have peace, we need the courage to say that we are ready to take the means to ensure that Russia does not win. And he posted the distance from Western Ukraine to France, from Strasbourg to Lviv. He said 1,459 kilometers. The war is not far from us, okay? So this is very serious, guys. For someone like Emmanuel Macron to take such a hawkish approach is very, very concerning. I want to read to you what one of the Russian partisan groups posted on Telegram today. They said here that they're going to start a massive attack on Putin's troops in the Belgorod and Kursk regions starting tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Moscow time. Okay, it says, we are announcing the organization of a repeated humanitarian corridor for the local population from 2100 today until 0700 tomorrow, Moscow time, on March 16th. We call on civilians to take advantage of the opportunity to freely leave these regions of the Russian Federation. After this, we will continue a massive attack on Putin's troops in the Belgorod and Kursk regions, okay? So this is very, very serious, guys. It says here, in connection with the conduct of a limited military operation on the territory of the Kursk and Belgorod regions, we again call for the urgent evacuation of residents of the Belgorod and Kursk regions. Save your lives and the lives of your children. We see that Putin's troops are hiding among civilians, so our task is to ensure maximum security for the local population. So it's about to pop off, guys. Things are about to get really spicy in Russia this weekend. Okay, Putin's re-election is going on right now. People are supposedly voting. Okay, and they're not really voting because he's the only person on the ballot. And here we have some video footage of the Russian military being deployed to Kursk to deal with these partisans, which the Russian government is saying are Ukrainian special forces. Okay, so here you can see some BTRs that the Russian military has deployed to Kursk. This is in Kursk, okay? And here we have some video footage of a woman throwing a Molotov cocktail at a polling place in Russia. Check that out. Okay, you can see the little fire there. And here we have some video footage coming out of Belgorod. Earlier today, you can hear these clashes between the Russian partisans and the Russian military. And here we have some footage of apparently an IED going off at a poll place in Russia. I want to just caution you guys to lower your volume a little bit because it's a little bit loud, okay? So all hell is breaking loose in Russia today. Here we have some video footage that I shared earlier of some Russian riot police preparing to deal with rioters in Kaliningrad. You can see them marching with their shields. So it's going to get crazy this weekend, guys. If anything crazy happens, I will go live 24/7 if I have to. And here we have some footage coming from an oil refinery that was hit by a Ukrainian drone. It's a massive oil refinery in the Kaluga region of Russia. And in the last couple of days, the Ukrainians have hit several of Russia's largest oil refineries, and they've destroyed about 10% of Russia's oil refining capacity. And it looks like they're going to continue to carry out these drone strikes on Russian infrastructure. And the German foreign minister is secretly working on a plan to send Taurus cruise missiles to Ukraine. This is being reported by Der Spiegel. Apparently, Germany is going to try to transfer Taurus missiles to the UK, and then the UK is going to transfer them to Ukraine. But Germany is going to retain control over the placement and of the targeting. Okay, and this is going to be a way for the German military to work around the German chancellor's red line of not sending Taurus missiles to Ukraine. So they're not actually going to send it themselves. They're going to have Britain send the Taurus missiles. It is a little bit cowardly, if you ask me. And a pair of Russian strategic bombers flew near U.S. and Canadian airspace last week before turning back short of the country's air defense identification zone. The head of NORAD and U.S. Northern Command revealed on March 14th. Air Force General Gregory Guilleau also offered more details on his warning that Chinese warplanes could start flying near or in the U.S. ADIZ this year. Before the Senate Armed Services Committee, NORAD regularly detects Russian aircraft operating in the ADIZ, which is a buffer region that extends beyond territorial boundaries, covering airspace hundreds of miles from the coastline that nations use to track approaching aircraft. However, Guilleau specified that this latest incident was different in that the bombers, the Tu-95 Bears, were approaching from the northeast and not towards Alaska, where most such incidents occur. We've had some success working with NATO and European Command on the northeast approach, Guilleau said. Just last week, for the first time in over 2 years, the Russians sent 2 Bear bombers down along that avenue through what we call the GIUK Gap. Greenland, Iceland, and the UK approaching the Canadian and the United States ADIZ. Guillot said NORAD kept its eyes on the bombers throughout their flight, crediting collaborative data sharing with allies via the US European Command and Northcom, particularly with Norway. While the Russian bombers did not fly near Alaska this time, Guillot noted that China's PLA may soon join Russia in approaching the ADIZ in that region. What I've seen is a willingness and a desire by the Chinese to act up in the Arctic. Guillot said, I expect to see air activity in the Alaska part of the Arctic as soon as this year, potentially. It's a very big concern of mine. Okay, so we have the head of NORAD saying he's concerned that China is going to join Russia in their bombing runs towards Alaska. Okay, and Russia flew through the GI-UK gap, which is the little gap between the UK and Iceland. They flew through there for the first time in 2 years with their bombers, and they approached the US. Okay, so this is not a good sign. And North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ordered his troops to make preparations for war during an exercise with his troops this week, making the comments as the US and South Korea are wrapping up large-scale military exercises. Kim oversaw a training session for tank crews on Thursday in Pyongyang and praised the ability of the troops participating in the exercise, calling them the most powerful tanks in the world, according to the state-run Korean Central News Agency. The North Korean leader also urged his troops to conduct more training simulations preparing for war, according to the KCNA, which reported that Kim called for them to take revolutionary measures towards perfecting war preparations. At the end of the training session, Kim also mounted a battle tank and drove it. So very serious, guys. Okay, North Korea is on the verge of opening up another front for the Allies. I think that potentially North Korea could make a move on South Korea this year to give us something else to deal with, while Russia and China are then going to focus on their areas, okay, and they're going to make moves. So like China may go after Taiwan, and then Russia will go after Lithuania and Ukraine. And before all that happens, North Korea is going to go after South Korea first, okay, to give us something to worry about. So Kim Jong-un saying that the North Korean military should take revolutionary measures towards perfecting war preparations. And here we have some fresh video footage coming out of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine, the largest nuclear power plant in Europe, showing Russian armored vehicles being stored inside one of the reactor halls. You can see all these trucks here. You can see the Z symbol on the top of the truck, and then you can see some BTRs over there, and you can see these Russian soldiers running, I guess just doing a workout. Okay, so that's not a good sign. Russia has militarized this power plant, which has 6 reactors, guys. Remember, Chernobyl was only 1 reactor when it melted down. Okay, if this thing goes, you're talking about 6 times the radiation as Chernobyl. And after Chernobyl happened, there was fallout that went all the way towards Norway, guys. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I will be back tomorrow with more breaking news. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. And a lot of people have been recently complaining to me that they're not getting notified when I post updates. So don't rely on the notifications. Make sure you periodically manually search for my channel and pull up my channel and check and see if I haven't posted a video in the last 12 or 24 hours, because I always post videos at least once a day, usually 2 times a day, sometimes more. Also, recently I noticed that when you search my name on YouTube, my channel doesn't show up right away. You have to scroll down through like several videos, like random videos. I was seeing like videos about Donald Trump and the election that popped up before my channel popped up. So if you type in NYPrepper, you may have to scroll down like a few videos until you find my channel. And I don't know why they're doing that. I guess because the election is a hot topic, so they're prioritizing those videos first. But That's pretty much it, guys. I'm going to be monitoring the situation in Russia over the weekend with Putin's re-election. If anything crazy happens, I will go live 24/7. Also, check out my nuclear war survival videos. I have over 50 videos on nuclear war survival. So I'm going to leave the links to the playlists where I have all my nuclear war videos organized in the top right corner. Also, you can check my website, NewYorkPrepper.com, to check out other nuclear war reference information. I have a lot of quick reference cheat sheets on my website on nuclear war survival, and I'm going to be putting some more up over there in the coming days. So that's something that I'm going to be working on over the next few days. But other than that, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.